Hello, Maui and Trizzy here. We're finishing off our 3 weeks in Indonesia at the Gili Islands. We'll be visiting all 3 islands, but staying on Gili Trawangan and Gili Air. Our itinerary was intended to just relax, rejuvenate, and recover from bouncing around Indonesia for the past few weeks. This will be the last of our Indonesia series, so check out our videos to see our time in Bali, Yogyakarta, Nusa Penida, and how it was like hiking the active volcano of Mount Ijen. After spending 2 nights on Nusa Penida Island, we hopped on Ekajay, a fast ferry to get to our first Gili stop, Gili Trawangan, also called Gili T. This ferry was about $34 USD one way. There are other budget-friendly ferries that cost less, but the boats are smaller, slower, and supposedly rockier. And since I, Trizzy, suffer from motion sickness, being on a bigger boat for less time was worth paying the pricier fare. The ferry ride took 3 hours and we had a stop at Padang Bai, a port in Bali. Although 3 hours on the open sea sounds miserable, it actually wasn't, because we sat outside in the open air. So make sure to apply some sunblock if you're planning to do the same. But if you want to sit inside, there's air conditioning for your comfort. Our experience with Ekajay was exceptional, but we do have to inform you that when you're booking, make sure you're booking on the correct website, which we'll link in the description. At last, we have made it to Gili T. We'll be staying 3 nights on this 6 square kilometer island. The harbor was crowded with passengers waiting for their luggage. As we shuffled our way to retrieve ours and leave to the port to get to our hotel, we first had to pay a tourist fee of $2 USD per person. Keep the confirmation that you paid for the tourist fee if you're planning to hop from island to island. The amazing thing about the Gili Islands is that there are no cars allowed here. Transportation is by walking, biking, scootering, or horse cart. We decided to walk to our hotel with our unnecessarily enormous luggage, in the heat and humidity, through sandy and dirt-filled pavement, for 35 frickin' minutes. We realized this was a bad idea, but we've gotten too far to turn back around. There was an option to hire a horse cart. Don't ask us why we walked to our hotel though. We can't find the reason behind our distress. After 35 minutes of melting our souls away, we gathered ourselves to check into our hotel, the Aston Sunset Beach Resort. Thankfully, the spacious open-air lobby was stationed with cold drinks that cooled us off. We rushed to our abode for the next 3 nights and were blessed with AC and a vital cold shower. Our room was 2 beds with a pool view balcony. The bathroom had a double vanity and a doorless shower. The resort had 2 pools, one with a swim-up bar, a children's playground, and an area that could be a workspace. Daily complimentary breakfast was included and it was buffet style. We paid $47 a night on Agoda for this 4-star hotel, conveniently located on the quieter side of the Gili T, which is the island known as the Party Island. We have had a day. We try to be good and not use the horse carriage. So we walked it 33 minutes.
I feel like it was smooth because we were dragging our luggage.
Felt like 33 weeks, but that's how it is. We made it to the hotel. It looks beautiful. We went from jungle to the beach, so we're super excited. This is more of our element. Cheers to the Gili Islands. It was considered a late lunch or early dinner by the time we had our first decent meal of the long transit day. Our resort also had a restaurant on the beach, so that's where we devoured our non-Indonesian food. The rest of the evening was spent at the pool and watching a gorgeous sunset on the busy beach. We were distracted with horses racing through the sand with an unforgettable sky in the background. As the sun passed the horizon, an orange-reddish light beam illuminated in front of us. You would think we fell asleep on the beach and woke up on the sand the next morning, because we started the day where we left off, at the beach. The resort's breakfast buffet was outside on the sand. The buffet spread was a wide range of Indonesian food such as nasi goreng, vegetable stir-fry, proteins such as chicken, beef, and fish. There's also Western style options like bacon, sausage, cereal, pastries, and an omelet station with many ingredients for customization. A fresh fruit smoothie station was also available. To get around the island, we rented an electric scooter for 24 hours. Turtle Shore was our first stop.
Ready?
We snorkeled and came across sea life and turtles. The visibility was clear as the sun was bright with barely any clouds. There was a temperature balance between how hot it was outside of the water versus how cool being in the ocean was. Bad views didn't exist on this island. We wrapped up our snorkeling to continue seeing the rest of the island on our scooter. Although the main path briefly detoured us more inland, we saw more of the many accommodations to stay at. While we were staying on the quieter side, we confidently knew where the busy party areas of the islands were. The east side were a row of beachfront bars aligned with stalls, offering refreshing smoothies mixed with magic mushrooms. Parts of the path became filled with sand, so we had to walk our scooter. This made us hungry, so we stopped at an Italian restaurant for some pizza and pasta. After lunch, we finished cruising around the island, having to dodge horses, cyclists, and other fast and furious scooter drivers. When we arrived back at our hotel, we went to the pool until the evening. For dinner, we scooted to Cremoso, a cute restaurant with a cafe downstairs that was open for dinner and ice cream. We ordered blended smoothies, shrimp gnocchi, and a chicken sandwich as a nightcap. The next sunrise was experienced on an early morning run while Maui was utilizing the last few hours we had with the scooter. The sun rose and we witnessed the massive silhouette of Lombok Island's Mount Rinjani in the distance. The subtle ripples in the water reflected the fiery clouds. And the island was quiet, even on the party side. No better way to view the island than at dawn. Our morning was calm, but the rest of the day wasn't. After breakfast, we switched our scooter rental to 2 regular bikes and pedaled our way over to our full-day boat tour. We purchased this tour from a vendor at Turtle Shore after snorkeling the day prior. For a shared snorkeling tour, with no snacks and no meals included, we paid about $12 per person. We had our own snorkeling fins and masks, but you can use the one that the tour offers. The boat we got on was packed with a large number of people. Upon boarding, we noticed that there are no life jackets on the boat, so remember to rent one or bring your own. The stops on this tour were the underwater statues and turtle heaven off of Gili Meno and lunch on and another snorkeling point around Gili Air. The underwater statues were our first stop. These statues are human-made and placed by British sculptor Jason de Caires Taylor. The material used is eco-friendly and intended to help sea life thrive in their environment. Because our tour was a larger group mixed in with several other groups, this beautiful yet chilling statue was hard to admire with chaotic human activities surrounding the sculptures. The second stop had more area to roam in the water since we were chasing turtles at a snorkeling spot named Turtle Heaven. Being in the water for the past few hours exhausted all of us, and we were ready for lunch. We disembarked our boat on Gili Air for a free time to roam around the island and have lunch wherever we choose. Remember, meals and snacks are not included in this tour. Since we'll be transferring hotels to stay on Gili Air for 2 nights the next day, we didn't go around the island during our tour. We'll have plenty of time later. We decided to eat lunch at a restaurant close to where our boat was parked. Being out of the water exhausted us because we can feel the heat from staying still on land.
We are tapped out.
We were wrong when we thought we'll be heading back to Gili T after lunch. We had one more snorkel spot, Nothing prepared us for how choppy the water was here. After several snorkeling experiences in the Philippines, we grew some confidence with swimming in the ocean without a life jacket. All our progress was completely wiped away after a few minutes in the water, which led to the waves nearly engulfing us while dragging us along the unbeatable current. Physically, we try to stay in control by continuing to use every swimming stroke that will keep us afloat, but mentally, we thought we'll be fish food. With little to no guidance from our tour guide, we struggled to find our boat. As we kept swimming, we finally spotted ours on the other side of the snorkeling point. Still far from us, so Maui swam to the closest boat, and I calmed my mind and eventually made it to our boat. It felt like a long ride back to Gili T, as Maui and I were emotionally recovering in separate boats. This was a huge lesson learned to not compare our experiences in one country to another country, and to use a life jacket if you're not used to fast currents. We reunited back on Gili T and treated ourselves to a surf and turf dinner at the resort. A lot of resorts around Gili T had movie nights on the beach. Our resort was showing the Disney movie Soul, fitting for how our day went. Finalizing our last morning on Gili T, we woke up with another level of gratitude for our lives. We cherished the sunrise scenery on a bike ride. This swing with the dazzling gold-accented arch was a place we noted to come back to while on our stay here. When we checked out of the resort, we decided on a transport back to the port using the horse cart. From Aston Sunset Beach Resort to the port was less than a 15-minute ride for around $10 USD. The Karya Bahari high-speed ferry will be a smaller boat that will get us to Gili Air in 15 minutes. There are several departure times per day, and it'll cost about $10 per person. Waiting on the boat for it to start cruising was rocky and frightening. But once we were en route, it wasn't so bad. But at this point on our trip, we're exhausted from transiting from place to place.
Can I tell you something else will make you happy? It's only a 5-minute walk.
Gili Air's harbor was a 5-minute walk to Jago Gili Air, our hotel for the next 2 nights. A boutique hotel with 10 rooms that surrounds a pool with many loungers available for the perfect afternoon relaxation. Daily complimentary breakfast was included, and this was taken at the tables and chairs in the open-air lobby, which also acted as a communal area for guests. All the room had its own front patio to lounge at, and the rooms had the contemporary aesthetic and amenities for a 3-star comfort. The best part of the hotel was the ease of renting high-quality bikes from the property. Jago Gili Air was $65 per night, booked via Agoda. Gili Air is about 5 kilometers in circumference and was filled with great food spots. We broke in our bikes with the stop to Ora bowls. Our vital acai bowl had fresh fruits, the ultimate snack for Indonesia's weather. While waiting for sunset, we lounged at the pool for a few hours, squeezing in a nap as well. Our plan for the evening was to bike to the other side of the island to catch the sunset along the beach. The water was shallow and still, with a faint silhouette of Bali's Mount Agung in the distance. During an extensive dinner search, we were convinced that Mama's Pizza was going to satisfy our pizza craving with the phenomenal reviews on Google Maps. Our cheese bread appetizer and white sauce chicken and basil pizza did not disappoint. We highly recommend this place if this is in your nutritional lifestyle. We had planned to end the night after our dinner, but when we got back to our hotel, the pool was lit up with colors that were calling us to swim under the night sky. But we didn't stay long because we also are sunrise catchers. In the morning, while I ran around Gili Air, now we biked the island and found a bamboo bench to watch the sunrise.
Would you like to join me?
Breakfast was not to miss. An Indonesian noodle dish, mie goreng, and a revitalizing blue spirulina bowl was our kickstart to our only full day on Gili Air. We used this day to celebrate our time around Indonesia. While we practically did nothing but eat and relax on the beach, that's all the celebration we wanted. We sipped on smoothies after finding a spot at a beachside bar to lounge at, and then spent the rest of the afternoon swimming and napping on the sand listening to the calming waves. Many photos were taken to remember these gorgeous views. Lunch was at this restaurant called Am Bagus. We came for what they're popular for, the roasted chicken, only to find out that they only serve that during dinner. So we decided to eat lunch there and then go back later for dinner. The lunch was enough to prove that if we didn't come back for the roasted chicken, we'd be missing out on what we later found to be one of our favorite meals on this trip. We got lucky during dinner though, as we were able to secure the last 2 roasted chicken plates at 7 p.m. Our last sunset had some cloud coverage, but the full moon was giving us the proper send-off. To mimic how we started our day prior, we caught sunrise on the same bamboo bench with our cat companion. At the hotel, we were sad to have our last blue spirulina bowl and papaya bowl. We missed our fast ferry back to Bali because we wanted to stay longer on the island. Just kidding. I read the timings on the schedule wrong. So if you're riding with Ekajay fast ferry, pay attention to your confirmation because it'll have an unnecessary list of times for different seasons that'll confuse you. Thankfully, we were able to book the next ferry out with no additional cost. Since we had checked out of our hotel already, we hung out at a cute cafe called Kopi Susu. When it was time to leave, the boarding process was interesting. The passengers gathered on a floating dock that shipped us out in the middle of the ocean, only to be transferred onto the actual ferry that'll take us to Bali's Padang Bai Harbor.
We were tripping at first. We thought this boat was going to bring us all the way to Padang Bai. We didn't expect this.
There are strict rules at the Padang Bai Harbor regarding rideshares. There are signs displaying the restrictions and locals policing the area, making sure no rideshares are servicing. We learned that the hard way, but luckily found a driver to take us to our hotel in Kuta before heading back home. To avoid this mishap, pre-arrange a driver to pick you up at the port, or prepare to negotiate rates with local taxis and local drivers upon arrival. From Padang Bai to Kuta was a dreadful 2.5-hour drive. Our hotel for the next 2 nights before closing off our Indonesia trip was the Yello Hotel Kuta Beachwalk. The color theme of this hotel was, you guessed it, yellow. It was a fun hotel with a lobby made for working people and families. This is connected to a shopping center with plenty of food options that kept us happy before a long flight back to the US. As a couple, this was our first 3-week international trip where we stayed in one country. There were last-minute things we decided to cancel on due to heat exhaustion. If you're interested in watching our other videos around Indonesia, we'll leave the playlist link in the description. We show the de-glamorized side of us adventuring through this glamorous country, so we hope you enjoy, relate to, and get inspired by the videos. And if you've been following along, thank you so much for joining in on Maui and Trizzy again. Don't forget to subscribe and get notified. Terima kasih.